So, you've definitely seen the headlines, right?
Oh, yeah.
The allegations about Sean Diddy Combs are, well, they're everywhere. And the story just seems to get more complicated every day.
It really does.
For this deep dive, we're going to try and sort through a whole lot of information, make some sense of it all.
Yeah, we're looking at the history, those early controversies, the rise and maybe fall of Bad Boy Records and all the legal stuff happening right now.
Exactly. And we've got quite a bit to draw on.
We do. There's a Rolling Stone Australia piece that goes way back, Wikipedia for the Bad Boy history, news reports from the Economic Times, AP News on the raids.
The DOJ press release, which is obviously key.
A BBC timeline tracking the charges, and even a CBC Arts article looking at how the music world is reacting. So a pretty wide range.
Okay, so our goal here, cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Get to what these sources are actually telling us.
Pull out the key facts, maybe some surprising details.
And just give you a clearer picture of this whole complex situation. And really important, we're just presenting the info from the sources. We're staying impartial on the allegations themselves.
Definitely. Okay, so where do we start? Those early controversies seem like the place. They go back further than maybe some people realize.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it? The Rolling Stone article talks about this contrast. Combs trying to be brother love. But then there's this reported long history of alleged violence going back to the 90s.
Yeah, it suggests the current situation isn't, like, completely out of nowhere.
Okay, so 1998, Steve Stout, the Hate Me Now video.
Ah, yes, the crucifixion scene.
Apparently, Combs wasn't happy that a version with that scene went to MTV.
No, and the article alleges Combs and 2 other people went to Stout's office. Stout claimed he got hit with a champagne bottle. Broken arm, broken jaw.
Wow. Did Combs admit to anything?
Well, he told MTV his behavior was completely wrong. Apologize for that part. But he denied breaking any bones.
And the consequence?
1 day of anger management. That's it.
1 day. That seems light.
It does, doesn't it? Maybe it
Wow.
shows the kind of influence he had even back then.
Okay, then 1999, the Club New York shooting. That sounds like chaos.
It does. Allegedly started with Combs knocking a drink out of someone's hand. Matthew Scar Allen.
Right. Then an argument, money thrown. Allen apparently threatened Shine.
Who was with Bad Boy, yeah. And then gunfire. Shine reportedly fired shots, hit 3 people,
And Combs.
arrested, had 2 guns in the car, faced charges for weapons, even allegedly trying to bribe his driver to take the fall for the guns.
But he got off.
Acquitted on all charges. Shine, though, he got convicted. Served 10 years.
10 years. While Combs walked. That's quite a different...
Stark contrast, yeah.
Okay, jumping forward. 2013, J. Cole, VMA's after party.
Yeah. Another alleged incident. Bit murky on the details, though. Some say it was about Kendrick Lamar's Control verse.
The King of New York line. Combs didn't like that.
Apparently not. Reports even said Combs tried to pour a drink on Kendrick.
But there was another version.
Yeah, the New York Post suggested it was because J. Cole supposedly said something inappropriate to Cassie, who Combs was dating.
So what actually happened? Pudding? Shoving?
Eyewitnesses said maybe some of that, but both Combs and Cole denied any fight happened, publicly anyway.
Right.
J. Cole later rapped about a scrap with Puff Daddy. So,
Oh!
who knows, right? Makes you wonder about this denials.
Then 2014, Drake, over a beat, 0 to 100.
Yeah, the Rolling Stone piece mentions this one. Outside a club in Miami, DJ Khaled's party.
That argument.
Words exchanged, supposedly some physical contact. Combs allegedly told Drake, "You will not disrespect me."
Did he admit to hitting him?
No. Went on the Breakfast Club, denied punching Drake, said they were friends, nothing happened. Again, conflicting stories, denials.
This is like a bit of a pattern, maybe. Downplaying things.
Could be. Controlling the narrative, perhaps. Even before all the really serious stuff came out.
Okay, one more from this early period. 2015, the UCLA football coach incident. Sal Alosi, involving Combs' son, Justin.
Right. Justin was on the team. Coach Alosi apparently told him he'd be treated like everyone else, dad or no dad.
And Combs didn't like that.
Seems not. Reports say Combs and Justin went to Alosi's office, arguments started. Combs allegedly grabbed Alosi.
Grabbed him.
Yeah, and then apparently got removed forcibly. And then allegedly swung a kettlebell at an intern.
A kettlebell? Seriously?
That's what was reported. Combs' rep said his actions were solely defensive.
And the outcome? Charges.
No. The DA didn't file charges. So yeah, the Rolling Stone piece lays out quite a few alleged confrontations well before the recent lawsuits.
Which brings us, right to the Cassie Ventura lawsuit, November 2023.
Yeah.
That felt like a huge shift.
Absolutely huge. Her lawsuit had these incredibly graphic allegations: sexual assault, physical abuse, being forced to have sex with male sex workers while he allegedly watched.
Seeking $30 million, wasn't it?
Reportedly, yes. And what was really striking was how fast it settled. Like the next day.
For an undisclosed amount.
Right. But Combs' lawyer was very clear. Settlement doesn't mean he admits anything. Still denied all the claims.
But that settlement, it seemed to open the floodgates, didn't it?
It really did. You look at the BBC timeline and just boom, lawsuit after lawsuit followed really quickly.
Anonymous people coming forward.
Yeah.
Stuff from way back.
Yeah, back to 1991 even. Joy Dickerson-Neal alleged drugging and assault in 91, said it was filmed and shared. Liza Gardner accused Combs and someone else of rape in the early 90s, described violence afterwards.
Another anonymous one, Jane Doe, alleging drugging severe pain.
It's a lot. Combs put out a denial on Instagram in December 23, a sort of blanket denial, but the lawsuits just kept coming. It's disturbing, the number of them.
And they cover such a long period.
Decades. From the early 90s right through the 2000s, drugging, sexual assault, coercion. The BBC timeline really maps it out.
Then Rodney Jones Jr., he worked on the Love album. His lawsuit was February 2024.
Correct. Alleging unwanted sexual contact, being forced to hire sex workers, participate in sex acts, grooming attempts. Really serious stuff.
And it didn't stop there.
No. May 2024, model Crystal McKinney alleged drugging, forced oral sex back in 2003. April Lampros claimed multiple assaults between 95 and 2000.
July, Adri English alleging she was groomed into sex trafficking from 2004 to 2009.
There was even a default judgment against him in another lawsuit, though that got set aside later. The pressure just kept building. It's overwhelming just listing them.
And Dawn Richard from Danity Kane.
Yeah, she filed in September 2024, alleged sexual assault, verbal abuse, being overworked.
Then October 2024. The lawyer Tony Busby saying he represented over 100 new alleged victims, including minors.
Some as young as 9, according to the reports. It's just the scale of it is staggering. Really makes you question what was going on for so long. Was it systemic? How did it go unchecked?
The BBC timeline just keeps going for October.
Yeah.
Assaults on a 16-year-old, a woman at a party, Ashley Parham claiming rape as payback for a Tupac comment.
That's a particularly disturbing one. Then, late October, lawsuits from alleged underage male victims. November, more anonymous lawsuits.
But also lawsuits against the lawyer, Busby, alleging extortion.
Yes, that added another layer of complexity. But the core allegations against Combs continued.
And all this time, he's being denied bail. Late 2024.
Repeatedly denied bail, yeah. Concerns about witness tampering.
Then into 2025. The Jay-Z co-defendant claim was withdrawn, but more rape allegations surfaced.
Right. And February 2025 was huge. A flood of lawsuits before the New York Gender-Motivated Violence Act deadline expired.
Including that chilling alleged threat, if I can get Pac hit.
What the expletive do you think can happen to you? Allegedly said to an anonymous male escort. Just brutal.
And allegations from Kirk Burrows, a Bad Boy co-founder.
Yeah, detailing disturbing encounters in Combs' office. It paints this picture of alleged misconduct over a very, very long time.
Looking back now at those earlier incidents, the Stout thing, Club New York, they seem different in light of all this, don't they?
They really do. Maybe early warning signs, potential indicators of a pattern that these later lawsuits and the federal charges are really bringing it into sharp focus.
And that leads us straight to the federal charges, the raids. This is where it gets incredibly serious, legally speaking.
Absolutely. The Department of Justice press release from September 2024. That's the core of it.
Arrested, indicted.
3 counts. Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and the time frame alleged 2008 to the present.
The accusations are just awful. Abuse, threats, coercion, leading a criminal enterprise.
Yeah, and the scope of that alleged enterprise. Sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. Racketeering conspiracy basically means running an organization involved in a pattern of crime.
And these freak-offs, the indictment went into detail there.
It did. Described as drug-fueled orgies with male commercial sex workers, allegedly arranged, directed, even recorded by Combs.
And using violence, intimidation, control over money and careers to force people to participate?
That's the allegation. Also repeated physical abuse, striking, punching, dragging, throwing things, kicking women, witnesses.
The DOJ also said his employees were involved, facilitating it, covering it up.
Yeah, supervisors, security assistants, household staff, allegedly acting as intermediaries, helping hide it from law
He
enforcement.
pleaded not guilty, though,
Yeah.
September 17th, 2024.
Right, according to the BBC.
Hmm?
But bail denied, witness tampering concerns, moved to a special unit in detention.
And before the indictment, those raids. March 2024. Very public.
Very. Homeland Security investigations hitting his places in LA and Miami. AP News covered it. His lawyer called it a gross use of military-level force, insisted he was innocent.
His sons were handcuffed during the LA raid, wasn't that reported?
Yes, that detail came out.
And the BBC timeline added that detail about what was seized in LA. Stuff for the freak-offs.
Allegedly, yes. Drugs and apparently a lot of baby oil. Over 1,000 bottles.
That's
Yeah, a disturbing detail.
And the federal case kept evolving even after the initial indictment.
It did. March 2025, the BBC notes it was amended to include forced labor allegations. April 2025, amended again, new sex trafficking charges involving victim 2.
Carrying a mandatory minimum sentence.
Yes, raising the stakes even higher.
He pleaded not guilty to those new charges, too.
Pleaded not guilty in May 2025. The defense argument, per the BBC, is basically that these were consensual relationships.
Yeah, the trial.
Tentative start date was set for May 5th, 2025, with jury selection beginning around then. So yeah, the legal pressure is immense and ongoing.
Okay, amidst all this heavy legal stuff, it's almost easy to forget just how massive Bad Boy Records was. What a cultural force.
Absolutely. For anyone who followed music, especially in the 90s, Combs and Bad Boy were unavoidable, synonymous with an era.
Let's pivot to that history a bit. Wikipedia has the basics. Founded in '93, right after he left Uptown Records.
Yeah, fired from Uptown, starts Bad Boy, and the success was almost immediate. Craig Mack, Flava in Yacht Year, then Notorious B.I.G. became, the superstar.
Huge. Faith Evans, Mace, 112, total, just hit after hit.
And by 1997, just 4 years in, the label's estimated value was $100 million. That's incredible speed.
A lot of that was down to the sound, wasn't it? The Hitmen production team.
Definitely. They were crucial. That glossy sound, the clever samples, it defined Bad Boy's early dominance. Platinum albums, #1 hits. They were constantly topping the charts back then.
But it didn't stay at that peak forever. Late 90s, 2000s, things slowed down.
Yeah, Wikipedia notes a dip. Mace retired for a while. Combs kept changing his name. Buff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy.
There was a big advance from Arista, $50 million in '98.
Right, but revenue was reportedly down the next year. They still had successes like Black Rob in the 2000s, but yeah, replicating that initial explosion proved difficult.
Interesting that Kanye West was supposedly part of the Hitmen roster as late as 2015.
Yeah, the production team remained influential, and the discography is long, shows they kept putting out music, just maybe not dominating the charts quite the same way.
They still signed big names later, though. French Montana, Machine Gun Kelly, Janelle Monáe was associated for a bit.
And Cassie, ironically.
Right. He even started a new label, Love Records,
Yeah.
in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
What about his personal wealth through all this? The Economic Times touched on that.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising, maybe. Despite the legal costs, the settlements like Cassie's, the huge bail bond, his net worth is still estimated around $300 million.
Wow.
Wow.
Where's that from? Music, ventures?
Yeah, music, investments, brand deals. Remember the Ciroc vodka deal? And Diageo bought out his De Leon tequila shares for $200 million. That was huge.
And he returned publishing rights to some artists, too.
Reportedly, yes. So he still has significant assets, even with these massive legal fights draining resources. Makes you wonder what the ultimate financial impact will be.
Okay, finally, how is the music industry itself processing all this? The CBC Arts article looked into that.
It's complex, as you'd expect. The article features 2 culture critics, Kathleen Newman-Bermang and David Dennis Jr.
What's the main takeaway?
A really strong focus on supporting the survivors, naming them Cassie, Don Richard, Liza Gardner, Rodney Jones, Thalia Graves, all the others. There's this sense of relief, maybe, that the accusers are actually being believed this time.
A shift from how things might have been handled in the past.
Perhaps, yeah. A feeling that maybe the industry is taking these kinds of allegations more seriously now.
But Newman-Bermang also mentioned concerns.
About online conspiracy theories, misinformation. She really stressed keeping the focus on the survivors' experiences amidst all the noise, which is crucial.
And Dennis Jr. raised the point about other celebrities, people seen at Diddy's parties.
Yeah, he cautioned against assuming everyone who was ever seen with him knew or was involved in anything illegal.
Right, that's a tricky line.
Very. He talked about how powerful people can maintain a public image, use those connections, while allegedly doing harmful things privately. It's calculated.
He contrasted it with the R. Kelly situation.
Said Kelly's alleged behavior was maybe more of an open secret, whereas the Combs allegations seem to have genuinely shocked many in the industry.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've covered a lot.
We really have.
A long history of alleged controversies, decades before the federal charges hit.
The huge rise, the ups and downs of Bad Boy Records, a major force.
The incredibly serious and numerous allegations in the current lawsuits and federal case.
And the complex, kind of cautious reaction from the music industry.
And throughout, we've stuck to what the sources say, trying to stay impartial on the claims themselves.
Right. Just presenting the information as we found it.
So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. When you take all of this together, the history, the power, the money, the allegations, the industry context, what does it really tell us?
Yeah, what does this whole situation reveal about power dynamics, about accountability, or maybe the lack of it sometimes, especially in spaces like the music industry?
And what other questions does it raise for you now thinking about how celebrity, influence, and justice intersect, or sometimes collide? Something to think about.